Hello everybody, welcome. My apologies for being a few minutes late. I had to switch some things up to make sure that we can all be here with the right lighting. Welcome everybody. So good to see you. مساء الخير. Just got amazing news from my sister. I'm really happy about this. Welcome everybody. It's been a while, I know, and that's really the reason I thought to come today, just to pop in and say hello and to have a casual and cozy gathering between us. Hi Lara. Yeah, I know people are asking me to speak in Arabic. Unfortunately, I'm more comfortable expressing in English. Maybe I'll do the next live in Arabic to test, because I've become a lot better. So today I wanted to come on and just share a bit what's been happening with me this year. For those who've been in the Awakened Women community for a few years, you've probably noticed that I just went a bit undercover this year. I've been sharing less, I've been showing up less, and it's not because I don't like you guys, because I love you guys, of course. It's because I've been going through a lot in my own life, and so I just wanted to come out here and share a bit what I've been going through, because I feel it's going to be beneficial for everyone to know, because this is something I think that relates to all of us living in modern society. And it's also the full moon, so happy full moon. It's always a good time for women to gather in the full and new moons. There's something about the energy that feels energizing, amplifying, and like it gathers us in this circle together. So happy full moon as well. And the last reason I also thought to pop in today is because it's December and we're all leaning towards the New Year's and 2023, and everyone is thinking and reflecting about their year, and at the same time reflecting what they'd like to manifest and create in the year ahead. So I just wanted to share a bit of my thoughts on that and how we can really show up in a more balanced way that doesn't push and set goals, and then we set goals we never achieve, but rather to soften that process so that we can do something that feels good for our bodies, for our souls, and still show up. Because it's never show up or not show up. It's always, how can I show up in the best way that suits who I am as a soul and as a being. And society doesn't teach us how to show up in ways that are aligned with our being, right? It shows us to show up in the way that is prescribed, whether it's by a teacher or a parent or a doctor. It's always outside in. This is the way you must show up. So we have to go on this own hero's quest or heroine's quest to figure out what are the ways that I need to show up that feel right for me. So, where to start? I guess we all have to start somewhere. And I'll start by sharing a bit my story over the past year, what's been happening with me. As many of you know, a big part of the feminine awakening or the rise of the goddess is embodied. It happens here in our bodies. And so when our bodies are not feeling well, something feels off, something feels heavy. And that's exactly what happened for me over the past year and a half, something like that. It started to accumulate a very deep feeling of heaviness. I was just feeling heavy and lethargic, and like something was not fully aligned and light. And I love feeling light. If there's any feeling, I love feeling more than anything else. That's why if you look at the logo of the Awakened Woman, it's a butterfly flying. So lightness is a very, very important quality to me. And what I started to feel over the past year and a half was a lot of heaviness. And I started to gain weight, and something was off in my body. And of course, matter and spirit are together. So it's not about this world being separate from the work we are doing, the inner work, the spiritual work, the soul work. It's actually how they come together. So with my body feeling heavy, everything else was a bit out of out of clarity. You know, when you're zooming in on a picture with a camera and something is not in focus. And for me, clarity is a very important value. So when I'm not able to show up in full clarity, in full love, in full guided direction from the inside, then I step back. And that's what happened for me this year, because I was not finding that deep sense of power and clarity. So I started to find solutions. I was like, okay, I'm feeling heavy, I'm feeling stuck, what's happening? And I started to seek out support from healers, mentors, and experts that I met along my journey. And one of them was a person who helped me do a juice detox in Bali. And a lot of you were online with this with me when I did the fruit detox. I did it for 21 days. It was very powerful, very cleansing. And I thought it would be the solution, right? I'm feeling heavy. Juice detox, feel light. It didn't work. It worked for a few days, for a few weeks, but then the feeling was coming back again. So I went to see an expert in Bali who recommended I do a heavy metals test. I never heard of that. You know, there's something that a teacher I really, really love, David Wolf, talks about, that our society is basically bombarded by toxins, but I never felt it close in my reality. So I went, I did the test. And lo and behold, what my test revealed was that I was having many heavy metals toxicity. And one of them was a metal called manganese. And let's say usually like this is where it's supposed to be and the bar's until here, mine was until here. And I was like, oh my God. And I was freaking out. For a very long time, I was freaking out and I was like, I'm gonna die. And manganese goes into the brain and it stores itself in deep and weird places in the body. So I was really having not very optimistic moment in my life when I found out about these metals. I found out I also have mercury poisoning and aluminum poisoning. Those were a bit less, but the manganese was very intense. So I was having not just this feeling of, oh my God, what am I going to do? But also a deep feeling of anger. Why are these things in my body? I eat healthy, I eat organic, I do a lot of cleanses, I do a lot of fasting. I breathe, I do yoga, I live in healthy places, I don't live in like super polluted cities. So why did I have these metals in my body? And so I went through a phase of anger, of a lot of emotions, of not finding solutions in the, let's say, ordinary world, because our doctors don't speak about it, our nutritionists don't speak about it. Most experts in the world we live in know nothing about metal toxicity. And even the blood tests we do in official places, the range they put for what's normal is not normal. And that's why most people are tired and lethargic and feeling heavy and feeling off and brain fog and all these symptoms of modern life that are not normal. And for me, aliveness, feeling on, feeling turned on in life is the most important thing. Of course, for me, aliveness and lightness come together. That's why they're important. But when I wasn't feeling this sense of inspiration and aliveness, I was just like, this is not me. I need to do something about this. And I'm sure we've all been there, right? And as any heroine in her quest, she goes out, she hears the call. So I heard the call. And after going through that phase of a lot of anger and disappointment in the world and this and that, finally I felt a sense of hope, of relief as well. Like, finally, I know why I've been feeling heavy. They are called heavy metals. Heavy metals. How are you going to feel when you have them in your system? You're going to feel heavy. And how do they come? Do they come just because I'm living an unhealthy life? Many of you know my life. I have berries and avocados for breakfast. I live a very healthy life. I do yoga every day. I cleanse, I detox, I use the sauna. So how did these heavy metals come into my system? I started to do research and I was shocked by what I found. Shocked. I found that most of the products we use, whether it's shampoo on our hair, right? We put shampoo. Where does the shampoo go? Into our skulls, our brains. It just like sinks into the system. Our skin is our biggest organ. So any creams we put go right into the bloodstream. Even the food we eat, most of the fish we eat, especially salmon and tuna and all of this, i.e. all the sushi lovers in the house, I don't know about you, but I freaking love sushi. Well, that's another thing that we need to be aware of. I love salmon and tuna, and I wasn't as aware that I have to only eat wild salmon. So a lot of the mercury poisoning comes from these fish. Now, the one that I did not resolve and that is still a bit confusing is the manganese, because manganese comes from like nuclear warheads and weapons and stuff like that. And I never lived in a nuclear weapons place. But my feeling is that by virtue of living in the Arab world and the Middle East, we are surrounded by these toxic elements in the air. It could be that. It could also be in the water. A lot of the experts I spoke to said manganese is in a lot of the waters. And manganese is a really, really bad one. We don't want to have it. Of course, there's a certain level of manganese that we're allowed to have that's actually healthy for us, like magnesium and manganese. You know, there's a certain amount that we should have in our blood, in our bones. It's like grounding. But at the level I was seeing in my records, that was not normal. So the first thing I wanted to invite us here today, if you are feeling any physical symptoms in your body, in your brain, in your energy levels, go and get a heavy metals toxicity test. The one I did was a hair one, because they say that's the most reliable because it goes deep into the tissue, rather than if you look in the urine or the blood, it only shows what is present right now in your blood. Now that my blood still had them, so I was still able to locate that. But like I told you, the blood tests show a normal level, at least here in Jordan, that is not normal. That is not normal at all. I'm in the very high levels of this manganese thing. And according to the blood test, it was just at the edge of the normal range. It is not normal. And I've been feeling it in my body. I've been feeling a pain in my neck, in my lower skull. And I just thought this was normal. Living with chronic pain. And again, we call it chronic, right? Like it has to last forever. And so I've been going through this very deep journey with my body. This had other events that happened in the year that also challenged me. But of course, we are all on a journey to discover the game that we are playing. And my game in my own life has been very related to the body. So my body is always my guide. So what happened with me made me take a step back, and it's not because I don't want to serve you, because I always felt this push, almost like a mother with her children. You know, if you're a mom, you know this feeling, which is you always feel like you want to spend time with your children. Anytime you take for yourself, you feel a bit guilty. So I was feeling a bit of guilt, like I need to serve, I need to create more, I need to give more. And at the same time, because my energies were not high, because I was not finding my own clarity, I chose not to show up as much. Of course, I was still sharing every now and then when I felt a bit more balanced, but that's a choice, I guess, I've made, that I only show up when I really feel I can give you everything. And the fact that I'm here today, it means that I'm in a good place, right? So I have been doing a lot of detoxing. I've been using things like activated charcoal, cilantro, chlorella, and I might do a video someday in the next few weeks on YouTube to share more about the protocols I've been doing. Also infrared sauna, very, very good for detoxing these metals. Now, I'm not sharing this to scare you. We're not here to freak each other out or to go into the fear frequency, because as we all know, of all the frequencies, it is one of the lowest. But I shared this to share with you where I've been, why I haven't been here connecting with you, even though that's one of my greatest pleasures in life. And also to inspire you, if you're feeling anything off in your own body, to go do that test. I also noticed over the past few years that they've been spraying a lot of random shit, excuse the language, in the streets. Like you see these guys just moving around spraying stuff. And I'm like, what the are they spraying in our streets and on our homes and on our cars? And so the other invitation is really to question, what am I putting in my body? Even lipstick. I started to read the ingredients on my lipsticks and products that I use intimately every day. And aluminum in the deodorant, aluminum, mercury in the freaking lipstick. So can we be more aware of the products we are consuming? And also part of that to be an inspiration to create more natural products, more organic products, more products that know exactly where their ingredients came from. Because you can have, let's say, a rose essential oil that you're so passionate about selling. But what if those roses were sprayed with pesticides? And so you're giving these women thousands of women this rose essential oil that contains this horrible pesticide into your skin. Again, your largest organ. So let's take a deep breath, not for fear, but actually for knowledge, for empowering ourselves, because our bodies are our vessels. And the story we come to tell, we cannot tell if our bodies are not doing well. And for me, this has been a very, very, very big lesson in my life. When I was young, I was really disconnected from my body. And I wasn't able to create. I wasn't able to fully show up. Yes, I was showing up for my CV and being the president of the student council and just things that I thought I should do, but not really from my soul space. And that's the deepest invitation we can all have, to show up more and more from our soul space, which is the space that is always there when we slow down. And we're a bit afraid of slowing down and silence and space. We try to fill things with more noise and rooms with more stuff and relationships with more random and pointless conversations. But for me, that's what this year has been, taking that space to drop in and also really explore why I've been given this lesson to learn through. And perhaps one of it is impact, because I can influence and inspire many of you. I was chosen to go through this so that all the people who also come in contact can be aware of what's happening. And I remember, I think it was David Wolf, he said something that it was a bit harsh. And I like to soften things in general, but I felt the truth of it, which is we are being poisoned. We are being poisoned. So that poison is not just physical. Of course, it's what we consume, what we watch, what we read. And the important thing is to become aware, create less poisonous things so that we can share. And that's where entrepreneurship was really important, because you're not coming trying to sell me a product that I don't want. You're coming to solve a problem I have, which is I'm finding a lot of toxins in my product, and I want somebody to come and give me the products I need that are clean, clear. And if you haven't studied with David Wolf and you're interested in products and nutrition and all this stuff, go learn from him. He's amazing. I took his whole gazillion hour nutrition course and I learned so much. And so in any place we are, there is a place we can start to contribute to cleaning this toxicity in our society. The body is just one place, but it's a big place. It's a very big place, because this is where I am every day. This is where I wake up. This is where my soul came to rest and to live a dynamic life. I was listening to an audiobook by Rudolf Steiner, and he's a genius teacher and spiritual guide. And he was talking about death a bit, but what he said was actually very beautiful. He said, death is simply when the soul chooses to let go of the matter that is the body to continue its journey. So life is when the soul is here with this body, co-creating this journey. And we've all seen something dead, something no longer alive. And when the matter remains, it's almost like there's nothing there anymore. And it's those moments where you realize life is the soul. The thing without the soul is not alive, not because it's a word, because it's lifeless. So that means when we start to live, we need to be paying attention to the soul. We need to be aware. What is the quality of the soul? And here's the thing, any values you have, any qualities, noble qualities you seek for yourself, any qualities you give to God or the divine, this is all soul. Meaning we are always seeking these soul qualities. And purity in the body is one of them that is important nowadays. And purity of the mind and purity of everything. And if you haven't yet clarified what your values for life are, it's very, very important, instead of setting your goals for 2023, to start and think about what are your top values. And a lot of these come with time. So you just start with something and then you start to build on it. And then one day you have this conversation and you realize, oh, it's something else. But it's so important to know what you stand for, to know what moves you in the world. For me, let me share with you some of my top values. They include connection. And connection is not something easy. I suffered so long not knowing how to connect with myself first and foremost, with others, with community. So learning and knowing and discovering connection is something very, very important for me. Community, and that's why we're here. Hundreds of us, we form this circle, this community, where we are like-minded, we have similar interests. There's something that brings us together in a circle. And community in the new earth is something very important. So if you're interested in community, focus on that. Train to become a facilitator. We're always hiring facilitators for our retreats. Another value that's very important to me, it's freedom. It's between freedom and liberation. There's like a dance, and I'll go into that some other time because they are different. Creativity. To create. I don't feel alive when I'm not creating. Whether it's a live or a course or a YouTube or just creating, which is service, which is my soul energy moving. Because feeling static is lifelessness, and we all came here to be alive, right? That's kind of a straightforward statement we can all make. So share with me your own values. What are they if you know them? I love to know in the community what are the values that are really alive for you. And again, knowing your values, you'll know who you are and what you want to cultivate.